CBC's Stephen D'Souza is actually in Baltimore at one of the places that has taken a lot of damage. Do you see that increased police and National Guard presence where you are, Steve?
Well, it's interesting, Suhanna. We're here at the corner of Pennsylvania and North Ave, and the CVS pharmacy, which became the focal point of so much of the coverage yesterday that was looted and burned. That's just to the side of us. Now, I'm just going to step out of the shot for a second, and we're just going to zoom in so we can see that crowd of people across the street. Just on the other side, that is the strongest police presence we're seeing so far right now. There are about a dozen or so state police officers in full riot gear standing 2 deep. And just to give you a sense of how quickly the situation here can change, you can see some people marching as well. When we got here about an hour ago, in fact, there was just the police officers lined up across the street, and the crowds were sort of milling about. But then about 4 or 5 individuals, one with a megaphone, started getting up in the face of police officers, yelling at them, and that's when the crowd started to gather, and it's at its presence form now. It's an interesting mix of people here on the street in this part of Baltimore. Here you have the protesters, you have average residents, you have a lot of church and community groups who've come to take part in what's happening in the city. What now is a major cleanup that's taking place. So you're seeing large groups of people walking through the streets, but instead of carrying bricks and incendiary devices, instead they're carrying brooms and garbage bags. Some people are handing out free garbage bags, bottles of water, going through the streets, cleaning up. In fact, just a block away from us, there's actually a community group that's organizing people to go to different sectors of the neighborhood to clean up. And so a lot of people ending up here who may have never been in this neighborhood before, but felt compelled to be down here today. So while it is more of a lighter mood, there still is an underlying tension and still a police presence here.
And Steve, our viewers are looking at a box shot right now beside you, a live look at what seems to be about half a dozen vehicles, perhaps with 6 or 7 police officers in each of them. As you mentioned, they are fully geared up. The governor of Maryland said that they are not prepared to accept or tolerate any criminal behavior, so it would appear these officials and officers are preparing for nightfall there and trying to put a stop before anything does happen. You've been talking to people on the streets. I'd like to get a sense of the mood and what they're saying.
It's interesting because we're hearing from people, a lot of them who've come to the community to clean. You can see there's a woman here right now, right behind me, that's cleaning, and asking them, what they thought about what happened last night. And of course, the first answer is they think that it was too much, that the people who took part in the riots and the looting went too far. But at the same time, there is this dichotomy where they also understand the root causes. They say this is a part of the city, this is a city really that's experienced so much poverty, so much crime, and so much abuse by police that goes back a number of years that they say a lot of them were justified last night in what they did, but nevertheless, a lot of people don't want to see a repeat of that happening. In fact, I was talking to an individual who said that there was a meeting between church leaders and gang leaders, and they allowed the gang leaders to express their frustration, and they hope that they can be out here again perhaps tonight. It's not clear whether they will be here, but they say they want to express their frustration, but to try to do so without violence. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but for now, the scene is more of those people cleaning up than it is of riots and confrontations with police.